things once a song. In weakness, you raise in promise. Your beauty arches above it all. All things once a song. In weakness, you raise in promise. Your beauty.
Well, I feel a warm wind blowing, melting all the sadness off of my soul. And I smell the sweet cherry blossoms, pouring all the gladness into my soul. In winter, I believe you. In springtime, I see you. It's so good to be with you. My hope has come. Lord, you make all things new. Your love is my breakthrough. Now I sing hallelujah. My hope has come. Now I walk through the valley of the shadow, and I have been tested.
Hey guys, just to let you know, I'll start again in like 1 minute. For those of you that have got kids, they are obviously very welcome to stay in here and we'd be with you. We have got a room for 0 to 4s just out there with team if you want to put them in, and if you want to see if they will stay, you're very welcome to do that. So there's someone in an orange t-shirt or a green t-shirt, or grey in fact, here in the blue. Graham, one of the Grahams, will show you. If you want to put them in, that's absolutely fine. So just thought I'd let you know. Got team, and yeah. So nice to see you again. Hey Zach, he's ready to come and do the talk, isn't he? Totally is. So welcome. Yeah, as John said, I'm Tracy. If we haven't met before, I'm part of the team here at Vineyard 53, and it is so good to see you. Just want to say a massive, massive welcome to you, particularly you guys if you're visiting for Zach and Summer. So good to see you, and anyone else if you're new or visiting, we just want to say welcome. It is so, so good to see you and have you here. As many of you know, we are currently in the season of Lent. And if you are exploring faith or you've never heard that word before, that's totally fine. Lent is the 40 days before Easter. And it kind of, Christians around the world remember Jesus' experience in the wilderness. And it's in the book that Grace showed you earlier, Luke. It's in chapter 4 if you want to read all about that, the book of the Bible. And it's just about, we remember Jesus' time in the wilderness and what that means. It's a time of reflection. It's to focus on Jesus. It's to take time to remember what he did for us. And it's also perhaps a time for us to let go and recognize and acknowledge some of the things that keep us, some of the distractions that keep us from following him. You may have heard people kind of giving up TV or social media or food or something as a way of spending more time with Jesus. And so we want to do all of that, but particularly for us at Vineyard 53 during this time of Lent, we just recognize that our lives are hectic and busy, and we want to take some time to dial down the distractions, just to have some space. And so last week, Tim kicked off with the sleep talk. I mean, he wasn't literally talking in his sleep. That would have been really impressive if he had. But he shared about starting from a place of rest and how we trust God and before we rush into our hecticness of lives. You can watch it online. He obviously said a lot more than that, but if you want to catch up, you can watch. Today, I want to continue the theme of focusing on Jesus amidst the struggles and the distractions and the difficulties that we face. Before I start, though, I just want to share a pretty random story of Graham, my husband, and I, where way before we had kids, a long time ago, we went to New Zealand, and we really wanted to go whale watching. And so when we did, we went to buy tickets at the wherever you buy the tickets. And the lady behind the counter said, yep, this is how much and stuff. Just to let you know, you will feel seasick. We advise that you take seasickness tablets, and this is what you do. And we were like, yeah, that's totally fine. We were young, and we thought, we don't really get seasick. In hindsight, we hadn't really been on a boat together, so we didn't really know that we would get seasick. But we were like, who gets seasick? We're young, we'll be absolutely fine. And so instead of getting the proper seasickness pills that they said to get, we just bought the random herbal remedy that looked cool and was way cheaper. And so we're in the boat, sat inside the cabin, and the captain again says, just to let you know, you are going to feel seasick. This is what's going to happen. We're going out on deep water. However, here are the sick bags. This is what to do in an emergency. And because you are going to feel seasick, you have to, this is what you have to do. You have to keep your eyes on the horizon. You have to look ahead. When we're in deep water, don't look down, don't focus on anything, but look ahead. That's what you have to do. And he went over and over this information. My response was, yeah, totally. Let's go see the whales. Totally got it. Let's go see the whales. And so you can guess what happens, can't you? I just thought I'd give you a heads up. For those of you that might be squeamish, I will spare you all the details. But just to let you know that almost every single person on that boat trip used a sick bag. And or the bin outside on the main cabin desk. And there was a whale. I only saw the tail of it going back into the water because I was being sick. And so, welcome to Vineyard 53. Why am I telling you this random story, right, on a Sunday morning? The advice we were given from our tour guide, this is going to happen to you. You will feel sick. The way to stop feeling sick is look to the horizon. Keep your eyes focused on the straight land ahead of you. Don't look down, don't get distracted, because you will literally be sick, which I was. And you will miss out on the things that you're here to do. I missed out on seeing a whale because I didn't take the advice that was given. And bringing it back to Jesus, focusing on him, so we're not in New Zealand on a boat. I think the story echoes on the verse that I wanted to share from the Bible today. It's from Hebrews 12, and it's one of the letters in the New Testament, written to followers of Jesus in the first century, facing difficulties and trials of all kinds. And they were facing persecution and death because of their faith in Jesus. And so let's just read it together. If you've got a Bible, you can turn to Hebrews 12. If you haven't, it will come up on the screen behind me, and we can read it. I'll read it out, and you can follow on the screen. Therefore, since we're surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and sin that so easily entangles. And let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith. For the joy set before him, he endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him who endured such opposition from sinners, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart. For those of you that want to know where we're going this morning, I just want to share briefly 3 things from the text as we take time to kind of dial down the distractions and take time to focus on Jesus. Firstly, we are not alone. I love the first verse of Hebrews 12 where it says, surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses. And I love dedications. I love that you're here. I just love it when we do things like this morning of welcoming Summer and Zach. And I'd completely forgotten what John says in the dedications when I was writing this. I love the opportunity that we have to welcome little ones into our community and say that together we will love the children, we will love the families, that we will help them to walk in the way of Jesus. Summer and Zach are surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses, agreeing to love and support them and their family, and a community willing to share their faith and wisdom of Jesus as they grow and develop. And in the same way, the writer encourages us that we as adults are also surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses. We are reminded that we are part of a bigger community of followers of Jesus across the world. For 2,000 years, people have said yes to him, given their lives to him. They have even been persecuted or lost their lives to follow him. And we are not the first to follow him, and we certainly won't be the last to follow him. And sometimes it might feel like we're on our own in this little church, in this little place, in this little corner of the world. But the truth is we're part of a much bigger story involving the whole of human history and in the destiny of the whole earth. We are surrounded by an army of witnesses, and so many who have run the race of faith and finished well. And last year, Graham and I were really privileged to be able to go to Rome for the first time. And the thing that had the biggest impact of me, I mean, the architecture and everything is amazing, but just seeing churches dotted all the way around the place with different things that are built around them. And then going into the churches and finding statue after statue of a martyr or a leader in the early church, men and women who have committed their lives to Jesus. And more often than not, laying their lives down for Jesus and for others, or in the service of others. And it blew my mind as I was in these churches, seeing these martyrs and the little passages about them and what they did and the adventures they got up to. Like so many people have gone before in this journey of faith, so many people have said yes to Jesus. And I felt like I was actually seeing the ancestors of our spiritual family. I was like, that's what I was seeing. And I was like, this is the heritage that I am part of. I was so inspired and encouraged to hear of their faith. We are not alone in this journey of faith. We are together. Let's encourage one another. Let us walk together as we journey towards Jesus. We are surrounded by each other. We need each other. We are surrounded by people who have gone before us, and we can learn and be inspired by their walk. But we need each other here and now. And we don't walk together, and that gives me so much hope because of my second point. Difficulties and distractions are part of life. And the writer of Hebrews says, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles. And another translation says, let us throw off everything that stands in our way. The passage isn't saying that some of us at some point may or may not, who knows, might experience something that hinder us or get in the way of us pursuing Jesus. No, it says this is a reality for each and every one of us that say yes. We will encounter things that get in the way. We will encounter distractions. We will encounter things that take our focus off Jesus. There are things that get attached to us that harm us and hurt us. The author of Hebrews was aware of the human condition that is prone to drifting from Jesus. And writing 2,000 years ago, before any of the digital world was around, people were distracted then, and we are distracted now. Social media and emails and to-do lists and 24/7 news and TV and constant notifications and politics and the crisis of the world and the war and the horror facing so many people at this time. And they're all discussed in minute details, and they're fed to us constantly on our devices all the time. Is anyone else feeling overwhelmed just as I talk about it? Because I am. And that's just a list of information before I even talk about ourselves and the own stuff that we're facing in our families and our work and our lives and our children. Last year, over the summer, I decided to come off social media for 3 months, just to take away distractions and to try and have some more time with Jesus. And honestly, I had the worst FOMO ever. I was like so afraid of what I was missing out. What am I going to miss out on social media? Who's going to post what that I'm going to miss out on? Oh no, what am I going to see? And then I also did a 4-day retreat, silent retreat, should I say, over there. That's a whole different talk, but you should all do it. It was amazing. It was great. But I agreed with Graham that I wouldn't check my phone or WhatsApps or anything else unless it was something about the kids. And so I reluctantly put my phone down and came back to find that I had 64 WhatsApps in the first hour of just not looking at my phone. I was checking to see how many I'd got, but I hadn't checked them fully. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, just to see if the kids were okay. 64 in an hour. And actually, in that moment, I was like, well, I just would have checked each one as they came along. They just would have come, I would have checked them, done it. And I realized how attached I'd become to my phone, how dependent I was on it. Even living my relationships with Jesus through it. I love the YouVersion and the Bible apps and all of that. They're all great. I'm not knocking that. That's the way that I connect with Jesus. But it was with me the whole time. And I realized I never had time away from it. And do you know what? I'm back on social media. I didn't miss anything. I particularly did not miss the constant barrage of advertising for a middle-aged woman. Which was Botox and menopause, quick fixes. No one needs that in their life. And I realised I would miss that. Obviously, not many of you are middle-aged in this room, women. But you know what? Whatever it is for you, they know your age. We can't escape Google. It's probably listening to me now. It's going to feed more, isn't it, as it hears my phone? So I guess as part of the distractions, for some of us, maybe we need to honestly name just the general distraction that keeps us from focusing on Jesus. For me, it's like recognizing my magpie tendencies of shiny things, which might be my phone, that just gets my attention. And maybe some of us are just bored with our current lives. Can I name that? Maybe the thought of following Jesus has lost its meaning and purpose. And so screen and absent-minded scrolling is just what seems better. And maybe for some of you don't know Jesus, and that's the reality of life because that's all that you've known. For others of us, whether it's our phones or elsewhere, distraction is a form of escapism and comfort from the more painful things in life. And if we're honest, none of us want to experience pain, do we? And I guess I want to acknowledge in this room there is so much hard stuff going on. And I know that so many of us are experiencing things. I just want to acknowledge that. And none of us want to feel the pain, though. And so as humans, I think we've developed elaborate ways of escaping it at all costs or avoiding it. So we have pain, we have difficulty, which we don't like, and we avoid or escape it by doing something that brings us comfort and gives us a short-term comfort hit. But then research has showed that actually if we do those things long enough, it actually increases anger and anxiety and agitation. And so now we have more pain, and therefore we have to do more of those things more because we want to numb the pain all over again. I don't know if any of you can see the circle that begins to happen. And so it's easy to see how we become dependent or on whatever distractions or whatever it is we use to numb the pain that is in us, to numb or to comfort. The writer in the Hebrews, the writer in the letter says, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles. And I wonder if we've got the courage today just to ask ourselves a few questions. What is distracting me today? What am I entangled in that keeps me from seeking Jesus? And what are the things that I go to for peace and comfort rather than going to Jesus first off? As we continue to read from the passage in Hebrews, we remember that we are not alone. We have to do this life together because difficulties and distractions are a part of life and we're not supposed to walk on our own. And so what do we do about it? Thirdly, we keep our eyes fixed on Jesus. As the writer says, let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith, For the joy set before him, he endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him who endured such opposition from sinners, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart. I am reminded again of my boat trip and the captain saying, you will be seasick. You will. This is what's going to happen. But this is what you do to counteract it. You look at the horizon. The reality for us is that life is difficult and it is full of distractions. There is hurt and pain at every corner. And yet we are called to fix our eyes on Jesus. We consider him. We keep looking to him and all that he did so that we will not grow weary and we will not lose heart. And I presume that the writer of Hebrews was already aware of what Jesus said. In John verse 16, it's another book in the Bible. And Jesus said, I have told you all of this so that you may have peace in me. Here on earth you will have many trials and sorrows, but take heart, because I have overcome the world. Fixing our eyes on Jesus doesn't mean that we ignore the hard things. We don't ignore our distractions or our dependency on comfort that take us further from him. And God doesn't want us to have a form of toxic positivity where we have our head in the sand, ignoring everything and saying everything is fine when it's not. Instead, with honesty and courage, we take all of our stuff, all the distractions, all the pain and all the hurt that we're carrying, and we meet Jesus there. He meets us there. And we ask him to be our ultimate source of comfort in the midst of all that we're feeling. But I think to do that, we have to know the Jesus that we're fixing our eyes on. I wonder if it's easier to take comfort in our screens and scrolling because we don't actually know the reality of who we're following or who is actually invited us into relationship with him. I guess my question today is, who is Jesus to you? Who is he to me? What do I fully know about him? And we all have got our own preconceived ideas of who Jesus is, from childhood, from the media, from other Christians, from other churches, where we might have experienced hurt, for whatever. We all have our own preconceived ideas. And in another book in the Bible called Colossians, written by the Apostle Paul, he was an earlier follower of Jesus. He's talking about who Jesus is. And so that's what he's saying. He's kind of, as he writes about who Jesus is. We look at this Son and see the God who cannot be seen. We look at this Son and see God's original purpose in everything created. For everything, absolutely everything, above and below, visible and invisible, everything got started in him and finds its purpose in him. He was there before any of it came into existence and holds it all together right up to the moment. I've kind of skipped a little bit, and then you go down again and it says, so spacious is he, so expansive, that everything of God finds its proper place in him without crowding. Not only that, but all the broken and dislocated pieces of the universe, the people and the things and the animals and the atoms, get properly fixed and fit together in vibrant harmonies, all because of his death, his blood that poured down from the cross. I love that translation. It's from the Message, so it's a bit different if you hadn't heard that way of putting it before. If we want to know what God is like, we look to Jesus. The visible image of the invisible God, the life, the death, and resurrection of Jesus shows us a God who loves us so completely, a God of goodness and justice and kindness, a God of forgiveness and putting things right, a God who sits with us and comforts us in the deepest of pain, a God who will never leave or forsake us, any of us. For those of us here who follow Jesus, we don't fix our eyes on a religion or a set of principles or moral values. We don't do that. We fix our eyes on a person who is alive, who wants to meet with us, who wants to be in relationship with us. A person who can speak to us through his Spirit. This is Jesus who has plans and purposes for us, who invites us into the biggest adventure of our lives. A person who wants us to partner with him to show his love and his power and his healing to the whole world. What if this Lent we take some time to remember the reality of who Jesus is and who we're actually fixing our eyes on? And for those who might have never thought about Jesus before, or if you're just starting to explore faith, I wonder whether you would accept the invitation to read Luke and to read the kind of the book of the Bible that Graham shared earlier. I guess, would you have the courage to explore who he is? Would you ask questions? Would you ask him to reveal himself to you? Because he speaks to us through his Spirit. I love the quote from a lady called Megan Wester that I read this week. And she says, "What if we view this desert time of Lent as not just a time to reflect or to lament or to confess or to fast, but a time where we learn to be free? What if we take this time with Jesus in this time of Lent to let him free us from all the stuff that entangles us and keeps us from focusing on him? Let's ask him to free us fully to know his ultimate comfort and his peace in the midst of the pain that we might want to run from. Free to wake up every morning knowing that he is with us and in us through everything. Knowing that his plans and purposes for us so that we can say with confidence and trust, as for those of you who were here a couple of weeks ago when Joan shared, Jesus, what are we doing today? I just want to finish with another quote, actually, that I've been reading, and I feel like it's an invitation to all of us. And I'll read it, it'll come up on the screen, and we can just think about it as I read it. Make your growth journey a journey into Jesus himself. Explore uncharted regions of who he is. Resist the tendency we all have to whittle him down to our own preconceived expectations of what he must be like. Let him surprise you. Let his fullness arrest you and buoy you along. Determine today, before God, through the Bible and good books explaining it, that you will spend the rest of your life wading into the unsearchable riches of the real Jesus. Let him, in all his endless fullness, love you into growth. And I pray that for all of us today, that's what we could be taking on that adventure. I am done. And so I would love to celebrate with these guys. At the end, we just stand together. And a way of standing together is just to listen. And so if you are willing and able, if we could stand, have a moment of prayer. And yeah, as I said, standing, there's no kind of spiritual thing in it other than it's just to take a moment. I've said a lot of words, it's just to give a moment to see what God might want to do. We've got some time before the kids need to be collected, and at the end of every gathering, we give space. We give space for God to speak and to meet us. And I know I've said a lot of things, and some of you are here to celebrate Summer and Zach. I guess as I was praying before the service and this week, perhaps one of the things that I feel like God would want to say is that he does want to show us his true comfort. In the midst of all that we're facing, what does it look like to allow God to comfort us? For all of us here, I pray that we could know that today, amidst the distractions and the stuff that is pulling at our hearts. That you love us, that Jesus, you want to comfort us.
Yeah, I just had a sense, I guess it's kind of like towards the end of the talk there when Trace was kind of talking about fixing our eyes on Jesus. I just got a sense that there might be someone here today or more than one person where you're kind of feeling, you know what, I've been around church, I know this whole Christianity thing, been doing this for a while, I'm not actually sure I've met the real Jesus yet. And I just kind of felt like if that was you, then Jesus just wants to show you who he is, just wants to reveal the real him to you. So if that's kind of, you know, touched a bit of a nerve for you this morning, you think, yeah, that could be me, then we'd just love it if we could pray for you.
And yeah, at the end of every gathering, we have space to pray. We pray for each other. As I said at the beginning, we can't do this alone. And so whether you want to stay where you are and ask someone next to you to pray for you, or there is space at the front and there are people waiting that will come and pray with you and for you. And you can share as much or as little as you want to. And we say at the end, kind of every gathering, that I guess we can meet Jesus anytime during the week, but as we're together, this is an opportunity to meet with him and not to leave before you've encountered him and know his love. And so, yeah, we would love to pray. For those that want to continue the celebrations with Summer and Zach, there is cake and there's refreshments and there's, that's out in the main area where you got coffee when you first came in. And we will be around. There'll be some light music that comes on. In the next few minutes, your kids will want collecting, but please take time just to say hi or get prayer.